It's funny. Have you ever met someone who is just brilliant, a total genius, but for some reason, they just can't seem to get ahead with their money? It's this strange paradox, right? They can tackle these incredibly complex problems, but when it comes to finances, something just doesn't click. So today, let's dive in and try to figure out why some of the smartest people we know really struggle in this one area.
We've all been told this story, haven't we? It's basically the promise we grew up with. Get good grades, go to a great school, and, the rest will just magically fall into place. It's a nice, simple formula that makes it seem like intelligence is a direct ticket to success.
Okay, but if that story were actually true, wouldn't every class valedictorian be a multimillionaire? Yeah, reality paints a very, very different picture. So we've got to ask, does being book smart really guarantee you'll be financially successful?
And here's the absolute core of it all. The problem isn't their brain's horsepower. Not at all. It's the operating system they've been programmed with. See, the very same way of thinking that gets you an A+ in school can actually become a massive financial trap out here in the real world.
So in this explainer, we're going to break down 5 of the biggest mental traps that intelligent people tend to fall into. We'll look at the education trap, the overthinking problem, the impulse to choose security over ownership, the deep fear of looking foolish, and of course the big one, the knowledge-action gap. All right, let's kick things off with trap number 1, and it starts right where we're all taught how to succeed, in school. It turns out the very way our education system is built can install financial habits that really work against us later on. I mean, think about it. What does school reward? Certainty, getting the single right answer, and more than anything, avoiding mistakes. A big red X on your paper, that's bad. But building wealth is, well, it's the total opposite. It's all about experimentation, learning from your mistakes, and taking smart risks when you don't have all the answers. The A student is trained to fear failure. The successful entrepreneur learns from it. This obsession with avoiding mistakes leads us straight into our second trap, and this is a huge one for analytical minds: the tendency to overthink things, so much so that you end up doing nothing at all. It's a real thing, and it's called analysis paralysis. A smart person's brain just loves to gather data, right? To weigh every single option and to map out the perfect plan. They'll research one investment for months or wait for the absolute perfect moment to launch a business. But really, the analysis itself just becomes a fancy way to put off taking a real risk. But here's the thing. The cold, hard truth is that big financial opportunities almost never wait for perfect timing or for 100% certainty. Wealth tends to flow to people who are willing to act on good enough information, not perfect information. Out here, speed and just taking the leap are often rewarded way more than a flawless analysis. And that brings us right to trap number 3, the powerful gravitational pull of security. This is all about the choice between a predictable, stable salary versus the chaotic but potentially unlimited upside that comes with ownership. You see, this is a fundamental difference in mindset. Smart people are often trained to be excellent employees, doctors, lawyers, engineers. They get really good at selling their time for a high price. But here's the secret. True wealth is almost never built by selling your time. It's built by creating or owning assets and systems that work for you. And this visual just lays it out perfectly. On one side, you have that slow, steady, predictable growth of a salary. It feels safe, but there's a definite ceiling. And on the other side, you have asset growth. Sure, it's riskier, but its potential isn't just a straight line. It's exponential. And that's the trade-off a lot of really smart people just aren't willing to make. Okay, let's talk about a powerful, often invisible force. This deep emotional fear of looking foolish. This isn't just about losing money, it's about losing your entire identity. Think about it. When you've spent your entire life being praised as the smart one, your identity gets all tangled up in always having the right answer. So trying something new and failing, especially where other people can see it, doesn't just feel like a setback. It feels like a direct attack on who you are as a person. So what's the result of this fear? Well, it means staying inside predictable systems where all the rules are clear. It means you avoid bold experiments, you shy away from any venture where failure is a real public possibility. Basically, you end up protecting your ego instead of pursuing actual growth. And that leads us to our 5th and final trap, which honestly might be the most deceptive one of all. It's what we call the knowledge-action gap. It's the huge canyon between knowing what to do and actually doing it.
Does this cycle look a little familiar to you? Because intelligent people love to learn. They'll devour books, listen to podcasts, watch courses, and then create these incredibly detailed, perfect plans. It feels super productive, right? It feels like you're making progress. But more often than not, it's just a really sophisticated way of procrastinating. Because all of that preparation, all that learning, is missing the one singular ingredient that actually creates results: action. You see, knowledge isn't power. Applied knowledge is power. And without action, all that learning is just potential energy, sitting on the shelf, completely unused. So as we start to bring all of this together, we land on this one core idea. Your intelligence is an incredible tool. But if it's not paired with the courage to act, the courage to risk, to fail, and yeah, to maybe look a little foolish, it can become this really comfortable cage that keeps you from ever reaching your true potential.
So when you look back at all 5 of these traps, from the way we're educated to our fear of failure, you realize they're all just branches of the same tree. They're rooted in a deep, deep desire for certainty and a paralyzing fear of taking imperfect action. So in the end, the real question has nothing to do with how smart you are. It's something much more challenging and much more personal. When you look at your own life, your own goals, the question you have to ask yourself is this: are you willing to take action before you feel 100% ready? Because that's almost always where the real growth begins.